everybody, this is Grace, and this video, well, I want to talk about taxes. Oh yes, I'm one of those who waits to the last moment because mine is simple, very simple, you know, and you would think it would be, but every year, I've done it online for years now, and every year there's a problem. There's going to be a problem. And this time, usually at the end of it, it'll say, okay, do this. But this time, it said I needed to pay for the big one, $40 or something, $39.95 or however much. And so I thought I'd just print it out, and I remember I've done that before. So I went to print it out, and my printer doesn't print. It just does the one color in the background. And I tried more than one way. And I'm like, oh, okay, so now what? I tried it again, try to correct it, try to see if there was some other thing I should have done, and won't let me. So I have to go and get forms. And of course you can't call the post office and find out if they have any, because you can't do that here. You have to go to it. Or I don't know, I don't even think they're open. So I'm going to go get my tax forms. See if they have any tax forms, actual old-fashioned paper tax forms, which I couldn't print out online, which would have been really convenient. And all during this time, I made sure I opened up the door so the dogs don't bother me. They usually do. And, they're their doors so they can go outside. Of course they did. Well, one of them still bothered me right when I found out I can't correct whatever it was it says it can't do. And I didn't even know where. And I had called the IRS last week and asked them about this one particular thing, and they said that the woman told me, she said there might be a problem with it online. I should have listened to her, because there's a problem. I was thinking, why would it be a problem? So, yeah, I got to go get the regular forms. And I'm going to make sure I print some out just in case from it. Get more than one. Yeah, that's my day. Okay, one of the things I've been thinking about is that these days when things are supposed to be easier, and I was telling Adam that, I go through this every once in a while, that I think sometimes things that are done online is more trouble than it's worth. This is something that should help things go easier. But for me, I don't know. It just seems like that to me, those things make it more difficult. And I had my first computer in 1982, so I'm not new to any of it. Really. I mean, of course I find new things, but still, I've done things of applications online, all kinds of things online. It just seems like that sometimes is more difficult. It takes more time, takes more, you have to have the latest of everything. And sometimes the latest, as I've seriously learned, isn't always good. So now let's go see if we can actually get that one particular form. Oh, right. What a day. Watch it say, no, you have to get that online. You have to do that online or something. But I read it online and it didn't say that, so we'll see. Okay, so of course they didn't have any. So I called Adam and he said he could print some from work. Well, he tends to forget things. And so right around the corner is a library. I'm going to try a library. I've never found them at a library, so I don't know if I'm wasting my time. But I'm going to try and see if that's it. But this is how I am used to my life being, seriously. Even if I'd done it earlier, it would have been, so the day that you do it doesn't matter. But I've got a week. And, but yeah, I have a feeling the library's going to be closed. But, I'm used to my life being this way. And I know somebody say, oh, it must be you, just you see things this way. But this is how my life goes. And yeah, it looks like the library's closed. But yeah, oops, I kind of ran over the curve there. Watch me bust my tire. I've been wondering about that. We'll see. Okay, yeah, the library's not open for another hour, about an hour and a half. So Yeah, I have this is something I really am thinking about, is how, when so many things in life just, that shouldn't be all that difficult become all that difficult. And for me, it's like this. Most of the day, something has become difficult. At least one thing has become more difficult. How you keep yourself from getting really, really tired. Something in me keeps me from being very tired. Like that person right there should not have run in front of me. But that's a little squirrel moment. But yeah, things always having something that is going to be different this time. Is going to be worse. It's going to take more time. It's going to something. It's not going to be as easy as, it could be. It's going to be made more difficult by whatever it is they want to make more difficult this time. Yeah, that seems like the story of my life a lot, especially lately. As time goes by, instead of, I've done it a gazillion times before, why this time, it's going to be difficult. One of the things I was going to say is, how does a person keep themselves from getting angry? Even though this is how life goes, there's always going to be something, at least it is for me. I wonder, is it always like that for other people? There's always something, always. Like, I'm doing good if I get it through a day, seriously, without there being some problem. Now, it's not my fault, like I said, I could have done my taxes any day, and it would have brought about this problem. It's not going to have changed yesterday, been any better. But it's just that something's going to make it more difficult. I don't know. But how does a person keep from getting angry when this is not just the only thing? It's just always something. And try to keep your cool. Why does everything have to be difficult? I just felt like crying because I said, why? I sat down, I said, I'm going to keep my calm, just go, do my taxes, early morning, get them done, I'd even left myself a little sticky note on my computer desktop, to do it, have my printer, always just printed it, but why? Somebody's going to program something and change it and make it different this time. Somebody's not going to program something with that. It's going to make it difficult. And it wanted me to pay this bigger amount, And I'm thinking, what it's wanting me to pay for, it would basically take away what it was worth. So I was, didn't lose, but close to losing. So it's like, that one little thing, one little line. Wow, I could become one of those conspiracy theorists and say, that they rig it this way. They, make sure it's this way, that they're going to get that money. They're going to get money from you, just even a little extra, $40. They're going to get it from you somehow, some way. Somebody's going to get it. Wow, yeah. Now, I have known people who think that way, and there's sometimes I even question it, that it's kind of like it's a rigged thing, My printer did fine before. Why doesn't it do it now? Any form I've ever had it print off, it does it. Why not now? And I've known people who would say, well, that's because they want you to spend money and buy new printer. My printer's pretty old, actually, and I like it. I like that it is. It prints out fine. It always has until today. I need it the most, but it prints out. And the ink cartridges, I buy them from some place online. I've done it for many, many years. And instead of going to the store and paying $30, I pay $4. I think it's about $4. So I don't have to go and pay, like I said, $29, I think it is, for each one. Yeah, and so that's great. That's why I like older printers. But yeah, if I believe in the ways, people who are conspiracy theorists think that I know, like I say, I can get that way too. It's going to be that everything that's changed, it doesn't matter if it costs you more money. Like my phone that I'm using right now to video this, I mentioned I got in December of 2 Decembers ago. Okay, so it's just a little over a year old. And I get this thing, and the next thing I know, the next one's coming out, okay? The next version of it. And there's already been another version of it. Okay, and I asked him, I said, can't we get an upgrade or something? And, you know, I always thought she could, but apparently I don't know. Yeah, I need to check into that myself. But 2 since a year, not even a year and a half. What, today's this April, so December, and I got it December 31st. So it's like 2 new versions of it. That's too much. Now some people say, "Oh, that's great. We got new ones we can do." No, that's just not on the phone. It's like everything, and I think that's what's the problem with me printing stuff, is that it's somebody made it new. And it's, you know, newer this year. Well, it would be a newer tax form. But it's not going to work on all printers, you know? So, yeah. Okay, I was making myself laugh and thinking that I'm going to use up that $40 just driving around, trying to find tax forms. Adam said he was going to print some for me, but like I said, he sometimes forgets. So do I, as I've just said, as you can just tell. Oh boy, I don't know. This is yeah. What a world we live in, really. Okay, and of course I'm getting stopped at like basically every light. Yeah, I'm on an event because I can remember years ago. I can remember not too long ago that I would get so angry at things like this. You know, I mean, I'm talking just furious. You know, especially, it just would really depend a lot on how much lately had been happening, and it does happen quite often in my life. Not just the taxes, but just the things of there's going to be a frustration. There's going to be something that's going to go wrong. No matter what I do, it's going to happen. And you know, I can remember just sitting at home when stuff happened. One of my sisters said that to me one time. She said, "You're just going to be sitting at home and something bad happened to you, and you're just sitting home innocent." And it did. What time that she was talking about was that somebody, at the time I lived in an apartment. This was years ago, 20 years ago maybe. But I lived in an apartment, and the somebody hit my. I had a new truck then. I don't have a truck now, but they hit it in the parking lot, and it was a woman who was not supposed to be driving. She was from a foreign country, and she didn't have her driver's license, and she was, you know, an elderly woman, and she ran into, you know, her automobile. I don't remember what it was. Ran into my truck that was parked legally, you know, in a parking spot. And then her son, young, you know, he said that she didn't have insurance, and please don't report it, and all this kind of stuff. And it didn't pay nothing, you know. Oh my goodness, it was like, yeah, you know, I was sitting home innocently in my home, you know, my apartment, and something happens to me. You know. But I'm on a roll. I'm gonna talk my frustration out this way, and I might have to divide it into more than one. Because, you know, my new phone, that's not the newest one, doesn't let me upload beyond a certain amount, you know, of time. So the video can't be more than, I think, 15, 20 minutes. I don't know. Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, in case you're wondering, I'm going to yet another post office and see if I can find anything there. And yeah, I picked a really good time, rush hour traffic. But to see if they have the tax forms there. If they don't, there's a library. Now that library over there, I used to teach at that college, and they've changed a lot. And I called one time and asked, how does a person get to the library? And the woman who answered, she was a librarian, she could not tell me how you get into it. That difficult. I had a little coughing, sneezing. Yep, allergy season, really bad. A lot of pollen. And is it always allergy season? I think it has been this past year. It's like every time I turn around, there's some pollen over everything. My I can sit on the hood of my SUV. It's just thick. But, yeah, nothing's going to go smooth. And I can just keep complaining because not only that, but I have, one of my heels it's hurt. And that's the heel that's laying on the floor so I could drive. The right heel. And, yeah, so I don't really want to be driving. I really don't want to be walking on it. But, yeah, it's my fault. I put it off. It's always my fault. So, I'm doing just talking so I will keep myself calm, It's when one thing after another just goes wrong. Yeah. And I know some of it is little stuff. And then that is how I see a lot of my life. It's sometimes it's little, sometimes it's big, but a lot of it is just little stuff day by day by day by day. Moment by moment, sometimes that goes wrong. And it just really, adds up. The little frustration. And I do wonder if there are people who don't have that. They just get up, they go to work, things are fine, no problem. Or whatever they do, if they don't work, if they're self-employed or whatever, no problem. Nothing is just changing from one moment to the next, that they have to keep up with so many different things that are changing from one moment to the next. Does anybody have that kind of a life? That they don't have to have so many, frustrations, so many, and I'm keeping myself calm now. Older I get, calmer I can stay, and work through it. Just say, okay, this is life. But that's kind of to me like desensitize. You're desensitized, okay, to that something's always going to be wrong. Really, there's some things. I mean, you the Serenity Prayer. You accept things you cannot change things you can accept. Something like that. I don't know. I know they do it for like AA or Al-Anon and all that. And the only time I've ever been to those, one was with a friend. Well, she wasn't really a friend, but she just needed support, and I went with her and for Al-Anon. And in school, when I was in school studying, we had to go to at least one meeting and then write reports about it and stuff. And that was, I think, undergraduate and graduate, or maybe both were graduate school. I don't remember. That was a long time ago. But, yeah, that was a squirrel moment, too. All of it is. But, yeah, you just let, in some things, I think it is right to just let it roll off your back. But some things, people need to stand up for, to me. But don't anybody do it just because it's people can be dangerous these days. But to say, we don't need this many changes. We don't need everything to change, in the blink of an eye. That's just going to cost us more money, or more time wasted, more frustration. That you have to change everything. It has to be updated. It has to be new. And I've never known the government to be that much of changing to make it new. Yeah, using old computers. Really. Hey, I just went in there, and this time I waited because the line wasn't too long. But it's a post office. It takes too long anyway. Sitting on my foot hurting. And I finally got to the woman, and she said, there's only one guy in front of me in line. She told me, no post office has a tax forms, and it hasn't been that way for 6 years. I'm thinking, I said, really? And she said, yeah. Wow. But yeah, so I've done mine online at least 6 years, right? Maybe. And she said libraries, the only place is library. Any library will have it. Now I'm going to go to, there's a library down the road, and did I mention that in this video? Talk about forgetful. But, yeah, about the woman that couldn't tell me how I get in the library. And I know it's a long walk once I get in there. Once I find a way to get in there, and they might not be open for another hour. So, yeah, wow. Okay, so that post office said to go to library. I called this library, called it, and they said, no, they don't have it. And she said, the woman said, and oh my goodness, to get the woman, to get to the right person, they were thinking, the one woman actually said, and I said, two of them, transferring me to a cashier. And I'm like, I don't know why they're transferring me to you. I'm just wanting to go, to get the tax forms. And the woman said, well, you wouldn't want the library to have your tax information. I'm like, oh my goodness, really? Seriously? They weren't listening. I've known people to do that. Every blue moon, I run across somebody who won't listen. They assume they know what you're talking about, and will say things that make absolutely no sense and make it seem like you're making absolutely no sense. And I said that I was told to go to a library. The first woman sends me to a cashier, and the first woman was saying stupid things like that too. So it's like, anyway, so I finally get the librarian, and she says, well, it's only for public. She goes, but then again, we're public, but all this confusion. And then she tells me that I could, she said, where are you? And I told her I was driving, and I was real near it. And she said that, she said, well, you have to go to a local library. I can give you the phone number. I said, well, I can't really get I can't really stop. I'm on the road to stop right here and take down the phone number. Don't people think like that? And it's not that she's on a cell phone. She's on a landline, so she's not going to be able to text me the phone number, which is nice of her to offer to help, but to say, here's the phone number. And she said, well, I'll tell you where it is. And of course, I had just passed it up, went the other way, because I've never been to this library. I don't even know if it's going to be there. So, where she said it would be, you never know. And of course, it could be that, it's not going to be open to another, it's 45 minutes now. So, yeah, this is how long I've been working on this. And, I'm not happy. I'm trying to keep my cool, just trying to do it and not get upset because just too many things are going wrong. But it's not easy. It's not easy when one little thing that could have been so simple, even that of printing it off online, that would have been so simple. Doing it online, as I've done apparently at least 6 years, and was able to do it, there was step one that could have been made simple. Step two, unless of course I wanted to pay that $40 for one little line that no. And yeah, I'm wasting my time. I could have paid him $40, but I would have had to put all this information in, and then there's no guarantee they would been able to do it. And they wouldn't even let me just delete that line and go through it again. Nope, can't have that because we're going to make that $40. This is ridiculous. See, I'm trying to keep my cool for something that shouldn't be so hard. I could have been able to print it off, mail it off. I got a stamp. I have a stamp. I could have done it that way. And of course, if I would have done that way, maybe it would have gotten lost or stolen in the mail. And this is seriously how my life goes. Sounds like I'm predicting bad because that's what happens. Seriously. Okay, I had to stop and get directions, which was what I did a while ago, but, yeah. Anyway, I'm curious if this person gave me the right directions. And, yeah, I really don't know how other people deal with so many problems like this. Just to do something simple. Just to do something simple. Life should not be like that. It really shouldn't be this difficult. And, I've read a lot about different kind of personality disorders, and there's one borderline personality disorder that anger is a lot of to do with it. But I think that's also on complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I don't have any of the other symptoms, at least I don't think so, of borderline, except I have anger, which this kind of life, having, too many times in my life, I can't predict the future. Hopefully it's not that every little thing takes so much time and trouble, and when it should be simple. And then I have to go home and do this, and then watch them say that I need yet another form. But, okay, I can't predict the future. But at the rate it's going, the way it's going, it just seems like it's inevitable that I'm going to have a problem. And when I called this place, anyway, I stopped for directions. And the woman told me that they have tax forms. She said, hold on a minute. And she came back and she said, well, we don't have all of them. I said, look, I have I called it a lame foot, but it's a hurt foot. And I've been driving for around an hour. And could you please just tell me, you know? And she said, okay. And apparently they're right there. Because it just, I mean, she said, okay. And then she come back. I told her which one I needed. She said, yeah, we do. So yeah, you know, I'm going to see, watch me go there and something else happen. Hasn't it proven to be this way so far? Okay, now I have never been down this part of this road. I've never been down this road, I don't think. At least not this part, maybe on the other side. But, okay, here's one stop sign. She said 2, turn right, 2 stop signs. We will see if that is true. Yeah. I don't see anything here.